Hello, this is Dr. Sana Hashmi, and this week in my Prince Eye on China column, I explored the Chinese discourse on a very discreet visit by Pakistani leadership, both civilian and military, to China, and the delivery of Chinese nuclear powered submarine to Pakistan. So, usually, what happens whenever there is a high level visit from Pakistan to China, they usually carefully choreographed. There's a lot of optics there, and they're primarily designed to project the strength of an all weather friendship and how close China and Pakistan are. But Pakistan President Asif Ali Zardari's recent week long visit was a little different from the past visits. And it was unusually low key. It drew limited attention at first glance. Of course, Pakistani media was reporting about it, but then there was this low key kind of an element, specifically among Chinese media and also international media as well. Yet, if we look beyond that, beneath that subdued optics, there was a significant development that was unfolding there. And during the visit, what was important, what happened was that Zardari also traveled to Sania, port at Sania, where Pakistan formally received its first S-26P, also known as Hangor class conventional submarine. So he was that was very obvious that he was also accompanied by Pakistan's Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral Naveed Ashraf. And the submarine is part of an eight boat deal signed in 2015, and it's valued around 5 billion US dollars. So the idea was also that Pakistan wasn't really getting any weapons from any of the European countries, primarily because of their closeness with India. So China came to its rescue. So now the structure of this deal is split evenly, that four submarines are to be built in China and the rest are going to be built in Pakistan, but they're going to be under a technology transfer arrangement. So now the S-26P is expected to feature air independent propulsion, which allows submarines to remain submerged for far longer than traditional diesel electric boats. And it is also reported to be capable of carrying torpedoes, anti ship missiles, and potentially the Barber 3 submarine launch cruise missile. So, that combination, according to the Chinese discourse, it strengthens Pakistan's sea based deterrence and its ability to operate in the Arabian Sea, and beyond that, the wider Indian Ocean region. So, the Indian Ocean region is something that we have to really focus on here. So, for China, this reflects a broader, a long running defense partnership with Pakistan, in which Beijing has now become Islamabad's primary external supplier of advanced undersea capability. So, now looking at the Chinese commentary, a lot of Chinese commentators have even linked the name Hangor to a symbolic reference from the 1971 war between India and Pakistan, when Bangladesh was established, when a Pakistani submarine sank India's INS Kukri. So Pakistan's existing submarine fleet is also being described by the Chinese as based on upgraded French Augusta class boats. They are kind of traditional and old fashioned, according to the Chinese discourse. Earlier efforts to acquire newer European submarines, of course, is did not succeed. But then, what the Chinese are saying, that the Chinese submarines, the Chinese weapons are much more superior than any other weapons from any other country. So China, to bridge that gap, has steadily become the key provider for Pakistan army, as well as now we are seeing with the navy as well. So a number of Chinese analysts also describe this transfer as part of a broader process of capability building, where Pakistan draws on Chinese experiences to modernize its defense industrial base. So technically, the introduction of AIP system marks a generational shift. It allows submarines to stay underwater for several days at low speeds significantly. It might improve stealth and endurance. But what is equally important here is how this development is being interpreted. And also, this is something that has not been tested yet. So, this is all in the discourse. This is all being said on paper, but in theory, but in practical, this has not been proven yet. So I think we have to take all this with a pinch of salt here. But now let's discuss how it is being interpreted and how India is being discussed within this China Pakistan Defense Cooperation. So, um, India is, of course, the main factor, and we also know that whenever it comes to China and Pakistan, India is the rationale behind this so called partnership between China and Pakistan. So, the focus, even if with the submarine delivery, the focus has also quickly shifted to India and the regional balance of power in the Indian Ocean region. And some online commentary in China has even described the submarine delivery in highly exaggerated terms, suggested that it could fundamentally shift naval dynamics or challenge India's position in the region. And such narratives also portray the S-26P as a platform that enhances Pakistan's ability to complicate India's anti submarine warfare environment, including against more advanced naval assets. So, there is also this discussion around this potential role in strengthening Pakistan's sea based nuclear deterrent, which is seen as part of a broader effort to ensure a credible second strike capability. And in this framing, Pakistan submarine fleet is, of course, modernizing, but apart from that, it is also being positioned as a tool to offset India's numerical advantage at sea and increase the cost of maritime surveillance and operations in the Indian Ocean region. But then, at the more extreme end of online discourse, some commentary even goes further. And some commentators also suggesting dramatic shifts in regional order or even global power balances. Of course, this seems very exaggerated at this point of time, but this is where a clear distinction needs to be made. There is absolutely a gap between capability and narrative. What could actually happen and what is being projected right now, at least on the Chinese internet. So the submarines do represent a real and meaningful upgrade in Pakistan's undersea warfare capacity. They will matter in regional military calculations. However, much of the surrounding commentary amplifies these developments into far more sweeping claims about strategic dominance and regional transformation. But what is actually taking shape is much more measured. Uh, Significant but measured, as in they're not going to significantly, substantially transform the regional balance in favor of Pakistan. So there is absolutely a gradual strengthening of Pakistan undersea deterrent enabled by Chinese technology and support, and this is the main part. It is all enabled by the Chinese support, Chinese technology, and its assistance. And alongside that, a parallel information environment where these developments are reframed through a highly politicized and India centric lens. So, this is, I think, the most important part while we are discussing the Chinese narrative on this China Pakistan defense nexus, growing assistance to develop Pakistan's military. So there is no doubt that there's this highly politicized, highly speculative discourse on China-Pakistan defense cooperation, including the recent submarine delivery. So there is this strategic developments that have been amplified and reframed across both official as well as online spaces in China. But this only tells us that China has been using Pakistan as a proxy in the regional balance against India, and there is hardly any doubt about that. And we have seen this in the past as well, where Pakistani narratives were amplified against India in the aftermath of Operation Sindoor. It's just been a year, and how Chinese sources were actually amplifying Pakistani news sources, and trying to project a narrative that was actually not true at all. So ultimately, the submarine delivery reflects a longer term Chinese effort to expand Pakistan's maritime capability. But is it really for Pakistan or is it really for China? I think everyone knows the answer. And what they're also trying to do is to shape the strategic balance in the Indian Ocean region. As in, they're attempting to do it, there is willingness from the Chinese side to shift the regional regional maritime order. But how far they're going to be succeeding in this, I think we have to wait and watch. But fielding Pakistan against India hasn't really worked in the past. how is it going to work in future? I don't really have a lot of faith in what Chinese want to do with respect to India here or against India. So what I see here is that efforts are being played out in two domains, in the water and also narrative surrounding it. But then India is also advancing, modernizing its naval capabilities, and there is a huge gap between Pakistan naval capabilities and India's naval capabilities. And even if China is trying to assist, is trying to prepare Pakistan against India, I do not really think that it is going to be something that India has to worry about as much. India is moving towards becoming an important maritime power in the region, and even though China keeps fielding Pakistan, I don't think this is something that Indian establishment, Indian military leadership needs to be worried about. And India is also developing its own submarine program. It is being modernized, and this is something that we just have to keep doing. We just have to keep moving towards, and there's hardly any match between what Pakistan has been doing and India's capabilities. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.